Here at the University of Arizona, the cost of undergraduate tuition has nearly doubled since 2007. Morgan Abraham is president of ASUA, which represents the student body. Earlier this week, he sat down with Arizona Public Media. Here again is Alexandra Salazar.
You represent the student body here at the University of Arizona. What steps has ASUA taken?
Yeah, so I mean, when the governor said that, it was kind of very, vague terms. She used the word predictability a lot, but it didn't necessarily mean anything. So kind of the two options that we see coming from there is, you have predictable tuition that, President Hart or President Crow kind of states tuition is going to increase by X amount every year. I mean, but potentially that doesn't solve the problem. They could say tuition would increase by 10% every year. So we don't really see that as a viable option, even though it is predictable and it does kind of go along with what the governor said. What we're leaning towards and what we're kind of pushing towards right now is something more along the lines of Minority Leader Chad Campbell's bill last year, which would kind of freeze tuition at all public universities in Arizona for 4 years. We like that for a number of reasons. One, it kind of takes the burden of predictability and the burden of kind of flexibility off the student and the families of Arizona, and kind of forces the regents and then the administration to kind of be a little more flexible, and they have to look at budgets a little differently instead of always raising tuition whenever they need more money. And I think Arizona families really need that. The other big thing why students are loving this is because it incentivizes a 4-year degree. Right now, I'm a student, so it's a culture where a lot of students stay for 5 years, 6 years. If you have predictable tuition, frozen tuition for 4 years, that 5th year, your tuition is going to skyrocket significantly. So it's another incentive to get your degree in 4 years, go to university, get out, go to the workforce, pay taxes, and it's good for the Arizona economy.
What types of reactions have you heard from the students here?
Yeah, so I mean, we track a lot of issues. Kind of my job is to listen to students essentially, and so I can tell you out of all the political issues that I've seen in my time at ASUA, which is a couple years, guns on campus, tuition increases, stuff like that. This is getting the most attention. We get emails, walk-ins, so many questions. Students are very excited about this, and they really like this idea. So students are very excited. It's something that we really want to push for, and it's something that's logical. And I think the one thing that students are kind of saying is, hey, when we come to U of A, for the most part, we're committing to longer than 1 year. We're not coming here just to stay here for a year. Most degrees take 4 years. Sometimes you transfer from like Pima, and that's 2 years. So why isn't the university committing a price to us for longer than a year? And it gets a lot of people excited, and hopefully we can make something happen.
Do you think the University of Arizona has lost students because of the tuition increases?
I absolutely do. I mean, as you know, tuition has doubled in the past 6 years. And that's not the U of A's fault. A lot of it comes to funding that comes from the governor and the legislature. But, I know a lot of students just from my high school and then kind of being in this job that, they don't come here anymore because it's so expensive. They would rather go to Pima, get the associate's degree, and then kind of move somewhere else. And so it's a problem. It kind of affects our recruiting, and it affects Arizona's ability to get new students here and to turn out degrees, which is beneficial to our economy.
Arizona Board of Regents actually responded to Governor Brewer's proposal and said that the budget falls short. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so I mean, I went to the State of the State and I was very excited about what Governor Brewer had to say. It all sounded good on paper, but when the budget was actually released, it was shocking. I was incredibly upset. I think we asked for something like $107 million in higher ed funding, which really isn't a lot of money compared to how much we've lost in the past. Of that, I want to say U of A asked for about 50-something million, and I don't know these numbers off the top of my head. Her budget proposes, I think, only $30 million of higher ed funding. 26 of that is for parity funding that go directly to ASU and NAU. So for a U of A student, she pretty much gave us nothing. I was frustrated. I was kind of sad, and I mean, it's embarrassing. You look at charts all around the country, and you always see Arizona in the top 3 for least funding for higher ed, and it's a bummer that that's my state. It's a state I love. So I'm hoping that the legislator will see that and they'll kind of work with us to fund higher ed properly.